Growing up, one of my all-time favorite series was Mega Man. I had 1 through 6 on the original NES, and since I didn't have a Super Nintendo at the time, but still wanted to play the X series, I even ventured into the PC ports. I loved the series, but there was always something missing. I wanted to be able to play the game with a second player. Other platforming classics had the option to do that. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Chip and Dale, Contra, and so many more. But Mega Man? Destined to be a single-player experience for eternity. That is, until a little independent studio named Battery Staple Games decided to take action into their own hands and bring us 20XX. Clearly borrowing from the Mega Man X series, this game has it all. Zero with his blade, Mega Man with his blaster, the robot masters, little helpers dropping you items, levels loaded with robot enemies, taking robot abilities after defeating them, the wall grabs, literally everything that made the Mega Man series great is here. And best of all, this game is multiplayer. For the first time, you can experience this Mega Man journey with someone else instead of going it alone. With both local and online co-op, this game is made for fans. Yes, Mega Man is now called Nina, but come on, that is the Blue Bomber. And Zero is now called Ace, but this is obviously still Zero. Little things were changed to avoid copyrights, but all the core components are still here. But while they stay true to the gameplay, enemies, and characters, they also wanted to make this game their own and give players a new experience. So today we're going to be talking about 20XX and why it is a fantastic game. First off, 20XX we already know is fantastic because it borrows all the core components from Mega Man. But let's talk about some of the differences that set it apart, but still make this game a wonderful game even in its own right. The most noticeable difference in this game is that it's now a roguelike game. You don't get to simply conquer one boss, save your game and work on the second boss, so forth and so on like a traditional Mega Man. You now have to conquer every single level and boss in the game in one run. While this seems nearly impossible at first, every time you play you collect chips, and you can use these chips in the hub world after you've lost for upgrades to your character. Some upgrades are given immediately and others you will find randomly within your next run in the game, either at the stores or Glory Zone or in crates, but every time you do spend your chips on upgrades, the game gets a little bit easier for you, like being able to hover with your upgraded boots, being able to fire spread shots. These upgrades always make you want to give the game one more try after losing to see if the upgrades will take you to victory next time. Also, after every try, the order of the robot masters is scrambled and levels themselves are randomized, so making your way to the boss is different every single time. After you do defeat a boss though, you're given a choice between 3 other bosses and you get to choose which boss is next. Choose more carefully though and try to get the more tricky bosses out of the way first, because the game ticks up in difficulty of the levels and the bosses automatically as you progress throughout the game. For example, Death Lotus in the early levels barely has any flower cannons shooting at you and the whole floor is present below you. However, if you fight him later in the game, the floor is half missing, the cannons are constantly shooting at you, and it is a tough fight to survive in. This is a cool twist to the traditional Mega Man formula and makes every single run different and challenging in its own way. True to the Mega Man formula also, after defeating the 8 robot masters, you then get to battle the evil scientists. Their version of Dr. Wily is now Dr. Brighton Sharp and Dr. Arlen Flat, and they are just as threatening in their robot machines as any of the other bosses. After defeating them, our heroes must escape from the base and the world is saved. I'll admit that the story of this game is not quite as fulfilling as some of the later Mega Man games, but despite being shallow, it's still a fun little story. After the traditional game is finished, you can also play some daily challenges and boss runs, which add a lot more fun to the post-game experience as well. While the game definitely does a great job creating new and unique experiences for Mega Man players, there are a few areas where the game does fall a little bit short. First off, the health in the game. In the early levels, this is plentiful. Health everywhere. But the later levels, where you really need it, the health drops are as rare as they come. You can use gears you collected throughout the level or throughout the game to purchase health at various stations. However, they put a cap on how many healths you can buy from this station. Why not just let you buy all the health that you want if you've saved up the money for it? Lowering the health opportunities so low in the later levels of the game really creates the difficulty the game doesn't prepare you for throughout. Another issue of the game is not being able to store your chips up for greater upgrades. After every failed run, you get to spend your collected chips. However, what you don't spend just gets eliminated. I wish you could save your chips up to purchase better upgrades in the game instead of just watching them disappear when you don't have enough for the next item and you start your next run. Also, when you do really amazing on a run in the game automatically makes your next run harder. This happened time and time again where we would get nearly to the end of the game, lose, and then restart just to find the game was significantly more difficult at the start. You choose a difficulty level at the beginning of the game, and the game should honor that. If you choose easy, the game should be easy. If you choose normal, the game should stay at normal. If you choose hard, the game should stay at hard. The final issue I have with the game, and a very minor one, is the soundtrack. Every single level has its own theme. However, every single one of them is completely uninspired. In Mega Man, every single level had a super catchy tune that would leave you humming or whistling it for hours, or in my case, years. While every song in 20XX has a very Mega Man feel to it, none of them are catchy, which means it really missed the mark on recreating the Mega Man soundtrack experiences. Despite these few complaints, this game is a fantastic little game, and for $15 on the eShop, you really can't go wrong. The game is polished, free of glitches, and most of all, it's just simply fun because it pulls back that old school Mega Man feel. I felt like I was in grade school again, going through all these Mega Man levels, experiencing all these bosses and unique abilities. I mean, it has the Mega Man charm. Now, some of you may be coming away thinking that this game is just a ripoff of Mega Man then, but I assure you, throughout the review like we talked, it is not a ripoff, but rather a homage to the game that the creators loved. I say this because, while having the same framework as Mega Man, the game goes in its own direction with plenty of unique concepts, and best of all to me, it adds in that multiplayer. Both local and online, you're always going to have somebody to play with. If you haven't given this game a download yet though, I highly recommend it, and you're in for a world of fun. If you enjoyed the video though, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, and as always, go out there, find a great game to play, and just simply have a great rest of the day.